I think my biggest advice I would give to any high school girls or athletes that are looking to compete in college is to make sure that you love it.
I got that dog in me, yeah. Turn me up. Big energy, got the crowd going nuts. I got that dog in me, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Wrestle podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Brenton, and today I am joined by Chadron State head coach, Taylor Summers. So how are you doing today, Taylor?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Like you said, my name's Taylor Summers. I'm the head coach at Chadron State College for the women's wrestling program. I actually wrestled. I'm from Nebraska. I wrestled here from 2012 to 2017, and I coached here for the men's program for 1 year when I was done. So I've been here for 6 years, and then just recently moved from Gunnison, Colorado, where I was coaching at Western Colorado University. Then got the opportunity to come back here and take over the women's wrestling program, and here we are.
Awesome. So how did you get involved in wrestling?
So I'm trying to think of how old I was. I was in sixth grade. My mom had just gotten married, and so we moved to like a neighboring town, and just so happened to make friends with, I guess, all the wrestlers at the school, and they were all trying to talk me into going out for wrestling. And I was a pretty small kid. I think I weighed I don't even know how much back then. I was like 90 pounds as a freshman in high school. So wrestling was a pretty good sport to me to get involved with. And I think my first day going to wrestling practice after months of trying to convince me, I thought I was going to a WWE practice, and turns out I was very wrong. And for some reason I just kept showing up even though I was getting my butt kicked, and kind of led to where I am now, I guess.
Awesome. So you said this opportunity kind of presented itself as the girls' coach. So tell me a little bit about that.
So when I was here wrestling, I met my wife here. She's a Chadron local girl. Somehow convinced her to go out to Gunnison when I got offered a job out there, and she moved out there with me and got married, had a little boy, Daxton, about 15 months ago, and just kind of ever since he was born, just kind of had that lingering feeling of wanting to get, back closer to home and family and all that. And so, Chadron State reached out when this job came open, and it was kind of like the perfect opportunity. They had a really good job for her, and they had this job for me. And so it was kind of a super exciting opportunity for us to get back to Chadron and continue doing what we love to do.
Awesome. I love it. So tell me a little bit about your program that you got there in Chadron.
Going into its third year as a program. Had an awesome year. We have about 15 girls on the team right now. I'm going to be sending 12 girls to the regional tournament this weekend. And it's been a really good year. Just kind of watching the girls, go through a lot this year. I think it's tough for anybody when they go through a coaching change. Different expectations and things are done differently. And I think it's, the girls kind of went through a learning curve of all that, but they've crushed it kind of, ever since we got here. It's been awesome. They've been super receptive and bought in and just worked their tails off. And it's been fun watching them get better every time they step out there.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch those girls improve. And it is a little bit of adjustment to get new coaches. You said you have certain expectations. What are your expectations for the girls on your team?
I think just for me, it's kind of we spent a lot of the preseason and, having meetings and trying to build the team culture. And some of my expectations are very similar to what they chose for, the program's values. And I think the four values that the girls kind of clung on to is hard work, attitude, accountability, and unity. And so those are kind of some things that I feel are, super important things that I live my life by. And I think it's when they know that's kind of what I'm about, then I think it's easier to I guess cling on to those and live the same lifestyle, I guess. They don't have to be perfect, but I think those are all things that are within people's control that can help them grow as people and as wrestlers.
Right. So, you obviously have a recruiting process for your girls. What does something like that look for if you're trying to get girls to come to Chadron?
I think like right now, obviously like 15 girls isn't maybe ideal for a college program, with injuries and just wanting to have depth and practice partners, things like that. So I think like the approach that we've taken this year is, those same values, like finding girls that, want to work hard, they show up every day with a good attitude, wanting to get better, hold themselves and each other accountable. Um, and then, yeah, the unity aspect, just being, I like to think of the girls as, their family, like, the person next to you is your sister. And like, I think of them, I'm a pretty young coach. They give me a lot of crap saying I'm old guy now, but yeah, I think of them as like, daughters or little sisters. So I think people that want to come into like an environment like that and yeah, so I think it's just a matter of finding the right kids. I don't
Right.
think necessarily all about like the accolades and the I don't know, state titles and Fargo championships and things like that. Like obviously that's great stuff and you want to bring in talented people, but at the same time, like making sure they're a good fit for the girls that are here on the team now.
Right. That's a definitely a big thing. Making sure that the team is getting along and has unity and has the same values that you're looking for, I think is huge. And I think that's kind of something that a lot of girls don't really realize is, they're trying to, win Fargo. And if they don't win Fargo, then they aren't going to get recruited, which is so not true. So I'm glad that you mentioned that and the girls can, strive for the, being better people rather than being the best on the mat because that'll come with coaching and years of experience and, just being on the mat and mat time and getting all out to these national tournaments is a big thing that coaches do look for in athletes. So I love that you said that. So if somebody was to take a recruiting trip there, what would that look like?
I guess like a typical recruiting trip would be, usually they get into town, we get a hotel for them. Like to take them and their family out to dinner and just try to get to know everybody a little bit better. Then I think it helps them kind of get to know us too. And, a
Right.
big part of it's comfortability, not just for the kid, but for parents, scary to probably drop your kid off after 18 years to some
Mhm.
strangers. So making sure that, they get a chance to meet us. And then, I think like probably the biggest thing that we always try to do is, get them with our girls. By the time they get here on campus, they're probably sick of listening to us talk. And so
Right.
getting them set up with the girls and hanging out with them for an evening gives them the chance to kind of get to know, them and hear the truth about us coaches. Our job's to tell you all the good stuff about, our program and Chadron and they're the ones living it every day. So I think it's a good opportunity for them to kind of pick their brains and get to know them. Yeah, usually the second day is pretty busy with information sessions and tours and hopefully can get them to come to a practice and kind of see how the girls practice and how we interact with them and run a practice and yeah, just try to give them the most like realistic experience as far as like a full day um here goes.
Right. Yeah. So tell me about your coaching staff.
I get to brag about those guys a little bit. So I'm super fortunate coaching with two guys that I had coached at Western, Coach Sammy Desirier and then Giovanni Cassiope. Sammy is a Colorado native, super talented wrestler. I don't even know where I can start bragging about him. He's multi-time state champ, Fargo All-American, a pretty proven wrestler on the mat. But then, and same thing with Giovanni's from Illinois, state placer from Illinois. Um, he usually, he's Giovanni Cassiope. He gets has the icebreaker right away, just being a Cassiope. He's a huge wrestling family out there. His older brother wrestled for Iowa, and then he's got two little sisters that are awesome wrestlers, and one's at Iowa, and then one's in high school, and then he's got two little brothers that are a couple little studs too. So yeah, awesome wrestlers, but I think probably more importantly than anything, they're great human beings. They're guys that I know hold the same values that I do, and yeah, I think just great for our program. I think I have to be the mean coach sometimes and um, yeah, lay down the law a little bit, but those two do a good job at, building relationships with the girls. And yeah, just we always tell people that we're probably the three goofiest coaches probably in the country. And I think it's pretty evident after spending a few hours with us on a recruiting trip or something. The girls are kind of get an idea what we're about. We're about having fun and just being laid back. And yeah.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about how your guys' coaching style is and how it meshes well together.
Yeah, I think a lot of like that stuff. I think we all have the same values and care about the same things and hold the girls to those standards. And maybe more importantly, I think we hold each other to those standards. I think we're pretty laid back. We're fun. We like to play a lot of games. We usually start every day with like 30 minutes of dodgeball before practice. And um, I think the biggest thing that we try to do is like instill our love for wrestling into them. And I think you do that by letting them see that wrestling is fun and it doesn't have to be taken so seriously all the time,
Right.
especially in college when wrestling's like 7 months out of the year, 8 months out of the year. And for a lot of girls, it's 12 months out of the year. So I think it's important to not make every day just about 2 hours of just getting after it and grinding and being serious. I think it's about being able to come into a wrestling room and let it be kind of your sanctuary. Because I think that's what it is for us. It's our favorite place on campus and our favorite place to be. And so making sure that our girls feel that same way and come in every day with a smile on their face and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that you are pushing that and wanting the girls to have fun. I think that's what a lot of the boys' programs are kind of missing, is the fun aspect of it. And I think that's why girls are having so much fun, is because a lot of the coaches are bringing that mentality to it. So I love that you guys do that. So tell me a little bit about your campus.
I'm biased. Again, I'm going to be the one to say all the great things about it, but yeah, I think Chadron State's got a beautiful campus. I think it's not your typical Nebraska town. I think when people think of Nebraska, they think flat cornfields. We're I think people call it the foothills of the Black Hills. We kind of have a little different of a landscape. We're super fortunate with amazing athletic facilities. We got a three mat wrestling room with air dynes and weights and all that kind of stuff. Brand new 5-year-old weight room that's just huge. It's yeah, state of the art facility, and a brand new Chacoin Center like these offices and our arena that we wrestle in now. It's all new within the last few years, and so we're super lucky on that aspect. And then I'd say as far as like campus feel, it's a smaller school. I think we have like 2,300 students or something like that here on campus. I think I had to look this up to make sure I had all my information right, but it's class sizes is about 14 kids is your average class size. And so some kids maybe not a huge like pro, but I always tell kids, like, for me it's like something that I definitely wanted and needed when I was coming to school, would be like a more intimate class setting. And
Right.
yeah, when you don't show up to class, like your teacher knows, like Taylor Summers didn't show up to class, and like my
Right.
coach is like finding out before I even realized I missed class. So
Mhm.
to me, a huge perk. And yeah, I think same thing with Chadron as a whole. It's a smaller community, and a huge pro to me is people around town know you. They know you're a Chadron State women's wrestler, and for good and bad. I think it holds the girls accountable. Not being out and acting like goofballs in public, and
Right.
and just representing themselves in the program in a positive way all the time. And
What are some of the more popular academic programs you guys have for your school?
I would say Chadron's kind of known for probably its education programs the most. Criminology and psychology are big programs that a lot of our girls are in.
Mhm.
Um, but we do have a wide range. I think there's over 50 like undergraduate programs with a ton of graduate programs as well. And yeah, it kind of seems like whatever, I think it's a huge pro too. It definitely helps in recruiting. It seems like kind of whatever girls are looking for to study, like we most likely have it. And so I would say some of those are the big ones, but yeah, tons of options as far as academic. programs go.
Awesome. So if you are trying to recruit somebody, what's the GPA that you're looking for an athlete to want to wrestle there?
So Chadron's a pretty, I think with like any rural area and college, like it's a enrollment driven school. And so pretty, pretty lenient as far as, minimum GPAs go. I think 2.2 core GPA is the minimum for NCAA. And so obviously that's a need and a requirement. But I think, school comes differently to everybody.
Right.
I think the biggest thing, obviously, we have different GPA requirements that give you different scholarship packages. And so
Right.
it's a huge perk if you are a good student. I think the biggest thing I look for though is making sure like I guess girls are carrying like those same values that we care about in like everyday life. Like so, off the wrestling mat and in the classroom, like, I don't care if you have a 2.5 as long as you're showing up to class every day and turning in every assignment and
Right.
working your butt off. Some girls that's a huge accomplishment and I think that's awesome. And some girls, maybe put minimum effort in and, could get away with getting like a 3.5 or a 4.0. But I think, yeah, just making sure that you're controlling everything that you can control to, yeah, take care of business in the classroom.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys do to help with students that might be struggling with academics?
Yeah, so we do like grade reports and stuff, and so yeah, I'll get an email with kind of where girls are at, and professors will reach out and say, hey, so and so struggling. She's doing a great job showing up to class, but she's not turning in assignments. And so we usually handle that type of stuff with, we'll have them come into the office and we'll talk to them about like, hey, why aren't we turning in assignments? Depending on the situation, like we'll offer out resources as far as tutoring and stuff like that goes. We do 2 hours a week of study hall as an entire team. And so, it's a coach led study hall. And so coach is there making sure that everybody's there, at least putting in 2 hours a week. I think that's kind of the bare minimum, what kind of effort you should be putting into your school. And so, yeah, it's almost an individual based thing is kind of seeing what each girl needs and making sure that we're pointing them in the right direction as far as resources go.
So, what does your season look like towards the end of your season? How many girls did you qualify and what weights and what kind of things are you looking forward to?
So we got a regional tournament in Denton, Texas this week. And so we'll be sending 12 girls down there. The top four girls at each weight class will qualify for nationals. And so I guess we'll know a little bit more after this weekend how many will punch through to the national tournament. But again, I'm pretty biased, and I see the work that the girls put in every day and what they're capable of, and I think we could qualify 12 girls, and I think we have 12 girls that could be all Americans too. So I think ultimately it's making sure that we go into the regional tournament relaxed and just excited to compete. I think this is like the important time of the year to kind of remind them of that. I think we preach that every time we go out there and compete is it's not about winning and losing. It's about, going out and having the performance that you can be proud of. And
Right.
sometimes that doesn't always result in getting your hand raised, but I think
Mhm.
it's something you could build on. And we just try to get the girls to go out and score points and let it fly and just relax and have fun. And I think when you go back and watch film and you get back into the wrestling room on Monday, it's pretty easy to build off of that when the girls are out doing that.
What weight classes do they have there? Is it only 12?
So we have 10 weights and we're able to send 15 to regionals and nationals if we get that many qualified. But so it gives you up to 5 weights to kind of pair, put two in the same weight class. So we have a couple girls that are out with injuries, and then we have one girl that medical redshirted this year from an injury previously. And so somehow we were able to keep the remaining 12 girls healthy enough to compete at the postseason. And so that's kind of where we're sitting at number wise.
Do you have all your weight classes filled?
We have one open weight, 136 we will not be filling.
Okay, so is that kind of what you're looking for next season and recruiting wise?
Yeah, I think like some of those middle weights we're looking to definitely fill, like 36 and 43. Our 191 pounder, she'll be graduating this year. And so looking to add some depth up into our upper weights too, 170, 191. But yeah, kind of like what I said earlier, I think, we're recruiting every weight class. Um, just making sure we get the right kids in our program. And so, yeah, I think the biggest thing now is, yeah, I want to, every girl that we sign this year and that is coming in next year, I want them to come in, thinking that the varsity spot is theirs and be confident in that. And I want the same thing for our returning girls. Like, be confident that this is your spot. And the girls that are coming in are here to push you. And ultimately, that's going to be a good recipe to, be where you want to be at the end of the year. Is, you have people nipping at your heels all year long and, want the same things that you want. And you should be able to kind of create like a healthy, competitive environment in that way.
Right. So if somebody was interested in the Chadron program, what steps do they need to take to get recruited?
They can go to chadroneagles.com and find our women's wrestling page. And there's a questionnaire on there that they can fill out. And then that email gets sent to us coaches. And so we kind of get your information right away. I think a big one now that a lot of people do is kind of reach out like via social media. And so we're on like everything except I think we have TikTok. I think the girls have a TikTok page for us. I don't know anything about that stuff, but Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's CSCW Wrestling. You could find us and send us a message. And same thing on our website. You could find my email and my phone number. And yeah, I think just reach out and get us on. Get yourself on our radar. And yeah, I think if you're a kid that likes what you heard today as far as like the program that we're trying to build, like I think we'd love to talk to you and kind of move forward on the steps to at least get you out to campus and see if it's a good fit and kind of move from there.
Is there any advice that you would give to any high school athletes that are trying to wrestle in college next season?
I think my biggest advice I would give to any high school girls or athletes that are looking to compete in college is to make sure that you love it. I think, when you jump up to the college level, I think loving wrestling for wrestling and not, I think sometimes it gets kind of misconstrued in high school. You love wrestling because winning is fun and maybe you have more success. And I think in college, it's not everybody. Some people come in right away and have tons of success, but for the most part, just about everybody comes in and like takes their lumps and they go through moments where they're discouraged and it's a huge time commitment versus high school. I think, the season in general is a lot longer. The level's obviously risen. So I think making sure that you love wrestling and the craft of wrestling and then just loving like the process of getting better, the process of like constant development. I think like if you really do love that, like you will get better at wrestling and you will have success at the college level. I think it's a guarantee. I think that's the hard part though, is like, being able to respond in situations that are hard and situations that maybe you're not super comfortable being in. And yeah, I'd say that's my biggest advice in a lot of words, I guess.
That's great advice. I think that's awesome. And I definitely agree with that. College is a whole nother beast compared to high school. And yeah, I've had, girls win state last year and go to college this year and they got humbled real quick because it's definitely different and you have harder competition and it's another level and you got to dedicate yourself. So I love that advice that you gave. We have a quote here at the end that you would like to close us on. Would you like to go ahead and say that for me, please?
So this one's a little fresh in my mind. We usually talk before practice, and sometimes it's just logistical stuff on the week and kind of laying out what the week's going to look like for the girls. And sometimes I do my best at motivating them with something. And one of them recently, I just got a book for Christmas, and it's a Viktor Frankl book, and it's called A Man's Search for Meaning. And basically, he's a Holocaust survivor, but lost his entire family in the Holocaust. And he has a quote in there that I think is, obviously it's a very dramatic experience in comparison to wrestling and what, we typically go through in our day to day. But his quote is, between stimulus and response, there's a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And based off of our responses lies our growth and our freedom. And I probably butchered it a little bit, but yeah, basically, I think it's, talking about a lot of the things that we talked about today, is that we always have the power to choose how we respond to tough situations and how to respond to, certain things that happen to us in life. And I think equipping your athletes and, our girls with, the ability to respond in a healthy way and with, a good attitude is our job. And yeah, hopefully when you can master that, I think, a lot of things in life doesn't, they don't hit quite as hard. You have the ability to navigate a lot of tough situations. And so that's why I like that quote, I guess.
Yeah, it's a great quote. I think being able to respond, especially in wrestling, that's basically what wrestling is. If you can't react to certain situations immediately and, have body awareness, I think that's definitely a good quote to bring for wrestling. But yeah, in everyday life too, how you respond is huge. How you respond emotionally to things in wrestling also. You have to keep your cool. You have to keep your mindset. So I think that's a great quote to end us on here today. Is there anything else you'd like to add or say to the listeners today?
I don't think so. Just go Eagles. And yeah, thank you for what you do for wrestling as a whole and especially women's wrestling. And I think just like giving the girls a platform to tell their story and get their names out there and, different programs and stuff too. I think it's awesome. And yeah, I love your podcast and what you're doing.
Hey, thanks so much. And thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you girls do great at nationals. And I'm probably going to be giving your information out to my wrestlers here in Wyoming because it's not too far away. So hopefully you can fill up your teams that you need filled and your spots that you need filled. And you guys can continue to grow and build that program up.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. And thank you guys so much for joining us. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Can't accept the loss, I'm hard-headed. There's a little bit of madness to my method. Many falling off that fine line that I'm treading. I risk anything to be great and I'm not letting nobody rob me of my victory. Number one, that's what I'm meant to be. When by any means, only thing that makes sense to me, I can make nice or make history.